This is the Engines of Our Ingenuity, made possible by the Friends of KUHF Houston.
Today, let's think about rotation. The University of Houston's College of Engineering presents this series about the machines that make our civilization run and the people whose ingenuity created them. For years, Gerald Walker was one of my science heroes. He wrote the column called The Amateur Scientist in Scientific American. Every month he described another experiment we could run or apparatus we could build. I was enormously proud the 2 times he used experiments that I'd submitted to him. Now I found Walker's book Roundabout. It's a set of articles about rotation, and it opens up an amazing world. He writes about tops, boomerangs, and frisbees. He explains how the dimples on golf balls reduce their air drag and how a top can stand at a gravity-defying angle. He shows how the complexity of billiards changes from 2 dimensions to 3 when you play racquetball, how both games depend on players putting spin on a ball. Others have done those subjects, and Walker is not one to kick a dead horse. He adds to the story. Instead of treating the old problem of pitching a curved ball, he breaks new ground. He talks about ballet, karate, amusement park rides, and spinning coins. Rotational motion is fraught with subtle traps. Bodies rotate because they possess angular momentum, inertial motion that isn't easily stopped. The fun begins when you see how momentum is conserved. A spinning racquetball carries 2 kinds of inertia, forward motion and rotation. When it hits a wall, those inertias redistribute and odd things happen. The ball may nearly stop short while it picks up a lot of spin. We've all watched spinning coins convert their motion from a clean, straight-up rotation to increasingly wobbly motion in the tortuous process of falling down. Walker shows how ballet movements create optical illusions. In a well-executed grand jeté, the dancer does a running jump. Then she seems to hover in mid-leap. The trick is to lift her arms as she rises. That lowers her center of gravity at the top. And as she comes down, she lowers her arms to compensate her falling center of gravity, so she appears to move in a straight line like an airplane instead of in a parabola like a baseball. Walker deconstructs ballet into a dozen such strategies for managing momentum. The game changes in amusement park rides. Now we are part of the motion instead of outside observers. Now we experience what the coin or the racquetball experiences. Those rides shift our reality by expanding upon the one simple force of gravity that we're used to. They rob us of our normal up and down. If we turn our head during rotation, we bring virtual forces to bear on our inner ear, and they overturn a lifetime's logic of forces and reactions. In 1687, Newton boiled all this down into 3 simple laws of motion. Gerald Walker's wonderful book gives an inkling of the universe contained in that core of simplicity. He reminds us just why elementary physics is such a wondrous, never-ending source of uncanny behavior, just why the world is as interesting as it is. I'm John Lienhardt at the University of Houston, where we're interested in the way inventive minds work.